Hi, this is Don Farber with Vineyard Soft Corporation, and I'd like to welcome you to this demonstration of the Knowledge Sync Alerts and Workflow solution. This demonstration will last approximately 20 minutes. Now, before proceeding with the current presentation, we strongly recommend that you have first viewed the Knowledge Sync product overview, which details the capabilities of the product, how clients are currently utilizing it, as well as the licensing and pricing for the Knowledge Sync solution. This presentation will be a Knowledge Sync product demo. Now, before we get started with this demo, it's worth mentioning a couple of technological overview points about the solution. Knowledge Sync is a server-based application. That means it's typically installed just on a single system within your organization's IT environment. Knowledge Sync does not need a dedicated server. You could install it on your SQL Server box, on your Exchange server, or even run it on a workstation. Knowledge Sync itself supports all Windows-based operating systems. And Knowledge Sync stores its own data in one of 3 different formats, giving you a choice between Microsoft SQL Server, SQL Express, and Microsoft Access. Now, let's get right into this product demonstration. As you can see in the window in front of me, I have Knowledge Sync configured to monitor a number of different business applications within my organization, starting with my sales or CRM application. And we can take a look at some of the pre-configured events for monitoring data in that solution, typically focused around monitoring the status of sales opportunities that are in progress. The branch beneath that is titled ERP and CRM. And this represents a unique capability in Knowledge Sync, and that's the ability to analyze and identify conditions between multiple business applications. All of the pre-configured events that you see on this list are looking for a combination of conditions between my sales or CRM application and my accounting or ERP solution. If I jump down towards the lower part of this list, you can also see an application branch called HRMS Events. That is, events that are monitoring data within my human resources business application. Knowledge Sync itself can monitor and respond to business conditions in any front office or back office application. For today's demonstration, we're going to focus into a specific module of our ERP solution, and we're going to go into that module for accounts receivable or AR-related events. Now, in this particular branch, we can see 6 pre-configured events, and the one that we're going to look at for this demonstration is the very last one, called invoices that are overdue. Now, in Knowledge Sync, every event consists of up to 5 components. The first of those components shows us whether or not this event is currently active. That is Knowledge Sync currently checking for its business conditions? Events that are active can be scheduled to check for their conditions on any reoccurring basis. Those business conditions that are very time sensitive and mission critical can be checked for on a real-time basis or perhaps every few minutes or maybe even hourly. Those events that are less time sensitive can be checked on a less frequent basis, such as daily, weekly, or perhaps even monthly. Knowledge Sync comes pre-configured with a number of these schedules within it, and you can add an unlimited number of additional schedules of your own. But for our first stop in this demonstration, I'd like to take a look at the query that's identified with this event. The query is truly the heart of an event, as it is what identifies the specific business conditions that we want Knowledge Sync to check for. So let's take a look at the configuration of this query. Now, whenever I talk about the query designer in Knowledge Sync, the first question I get asked is always the following. Don, how easy is it for me as a non-technical person to create or tailor my own queries? And the answer to that question is as follows. You do not have to be a programmer. You're not writing any kind of SQL syntax or other code. However, you do need to be familiar with an application's database schema. In plain English, you need to know what data is stored where. If you've ever written a report for an application, you probably have all the experience you need to create and customize your own queries. Knowledge Sync will automatically present you with a list of all of the tables or files in an underlying database, and you get to pick and choose what tables you wish to retrieve data from. For this particular query, since we wanted to identify invoices that are overdue for payment, we've chosen to retrieve data from 3 tables: my Open Invoice table, my Customer table, and also the Salesperson table. Since I've chosen more than one table, Knowledge Sync presents me with a table linking wizard, enabling me to link or join those tables together. But I'd like to stop next on the Columns tab, as this is where you're able to identify the individual fields of data that you'd like Knowledge Sync to retrieve from the underlying database. I tend to think about it in terms of, if I'm going to construct an email alert message, what fields of data might I wish to put into that alert message? Well, chances are I'd like to include the number of the invoice that's overdue, what was that invoice's original due date, what's the balance left on that invoice, and so on. All of the fields of data that you can choose from are presented to you in a list up at the top of this tab. You can pick and choose as many fields of data as you like. Knowledge Sync also makes it easy for you to perform more sophisticated calculations based upon information in your database. For example, maybe you want to total up all of the overdue invoices by customer, or by sales rep, or by region. In Knowledge Sync, that's simply a matter of choosing one of these aggregate functions, such as sum, or summarizing the value of a numeric field. I could also, for example, have Knowledge Sync count the number of overdue invoices per customer. Knowledge Sync also provides you with a calculation wizard. So, for example, if I wanted to calculate how many days overdue an invoice is, I can simply scroll this list down up at the top of my calculation wizard and choose the calculation called difference in days between 2 dates, and Knowledge Sync would then walk me through the creation of that particular calculation. Let's go back to our main query design window and move ahead a couple more tabs to our Filters tab, as it is the Filters tab that allows you to specify the particular business conditions that you want Knowledge Sync to check for. In this particular query's case, since I want to retrieve invoices that are overdue for payment, I have 2 filters. The first of those is checking to make sure that the invoice's due date is less than the current date. That's what makes it overdue. And you'll notice here that all of the options, operators, etc. that I can choose from are all available via drop-down lists. The second filter that this particular query has is on the invoice balance field. Naturally, I only am concerned about those invoices that are not completely paid off, so I've specified that the balance has got to be greater than 0. You can do a lot of sophisticated analysis in the Query Designer, and that includes Boolean or and/or logic, in which you can tie multiple conditions together and group them. And also down at the bottom right of the Filters tab is a very handy button called If Column Values Have Changed, which allows you to configure Knowledge Sync to start auditing the value of any fields in your underlying database. So if, for example, I want to keep an eye out to see if anyone changes the due date of an invoice, I can simply choose that field for auditing, and Knowledge Sync will capture the old and new value of that field whenever it is changed. Now, just in case we have anyone listening to this presentation who loves nothing more than to write your own SQL syntax, well, we'll actually give you a sneak peek under the hood of what Knowledge Sync is doing for this particular query. You can click on the SQL tab, and you get to see that lovely SQL syntax. Personally, I like showing this to people as an example of what you don't have to know what to do in order to create and customize your own queries in the Knowledge Sync solution, as this SQL syntax is automatically compiled based upon the selections that you've made in the preceding tabs. You can also always test a query to make sure it's returning the correct records. So I hit my Preview tab, and I can see, for one thing, my invoice due date. Yes, indeed, KnowledgeSync is retrieving only those invoices that are overdue for payment. Once I've configured my query, I can then move on to looking at the remaining components of the event itself, starting with the deliverables of the event. KnowledgeSync can send out alerts via a number of different methods, including email, text message, instant message, web dashboard, fax, and social network. This particular event has a number of different deliverables configured for it, starting with, up at the top, the email alert. And you can cursor over any one of these branches to get a quick glimpse at the underlying alert message. If you wish to edit it or modify it, simply a matter of double-clicking on the corresponding branch, and you're taken into that component in edit mode. Here we're looking at the email alert message that has been configured within KnowledgeSync. All of the fields of data that you can put into the outgoing alert message are presented for you at the list up at the top of this tab. The email alert message itself can be configured to be in plain text, as this one is, or HTML format. We give you your choice, and we provide a library of HTML templates to choose from. It's also important to note that KnowledgeSync gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how your alert message is configured. For example, I can have KnowledgeSync send my CFO a single email message that says, here are all of our customers' invoices that are overdue for payment. However, I can also configure KnowledgeSync to send each of my sales reps a separate email message saying, here's a list of just your customers who have overdue invoices. Now, looking at the other deliverables, you can see that I have a number of other alert delivery methods configured. But what I'd like to do first is to jump back to the Reports tab. This particular event is also automatically triggering an AR aging report. That's one of my standard crystal reports for my ERP application. And I can specify how I want that report to be output in such formats as PDF, HTML, Microsoft Word, or even Excel. If I go back to my main Navigator window, I'd like to point out one of the other deliverables for this event, referred to as the chart that is associated to this event, as KnowledgeSync includes the ability to create graphic alerts. This graphic alerts module allows you to create such things as bar charts, pie charts, line charts, and the like for any business conditions. In this particular case, since I am indeed looking at overdue invoices, what I really want to see is the total of overdue invoices for each of my sales reps. So I can click at the button at the bottom center of this window. We're going to select 30 days as defining overdue invoices, and now I can see which reps have customers with the most overdue invoices. These charts and graphs are generated within the KnowledgeSync application, and as I mentioned, can be output in all your typical formats, such as line, chart, bar, and pie charts. Let's once again go back to our main Navigator window. Once you've identified the deliverables for an event, the next step is to specify whom you want those deliverables or alerts to be sent to. Alert recipients in KnowledgeSync are referred to as its subscribers. This particular event has 4 subscribers. First of all, we're notifying everyone in our executive team via 3 alert delivery methods: email, fax, and instant message. Myself, I'm being notified via just 2 methods, email and IM. But perhaps most important of all of this event's subscribers are the final 2, referred to as dynamic subscribers. Because if we have customers with overdue invoices, probably the 2 most important people for me to notify are the salesperson and the customer themselves who have the overdue invoices. It's important to note that in KnowledgeSync, you do not have to re-enter subscriber information, that is, the names of people, their email addresses, etc., as Knowledge Sync can read subscriber data out of any table in any external application. Now, the last component of an event is its actions or workflow. This is where Knowledge Sync can go above and beyond just sending an alert, generating a report or chart, and delivering that to a person. Knowledge Sync itself can go back into your applications and actually add or update records. For example, if a customer has overdue invoices, I might want Knowledge Sync to go back into that customer's record in our ERP solution and put them on credit hold. Or, as in this event's case, if I'm working with a collections agency, I might want Knowledge Sync to create a comma-separated file of all of my customers' overdue invoices and have Knowledge Sync automatically send that to the collections agency for follow-up. Perhaps I'm using a sales or CRM application. I might want Knowledge Sync to automatically schedule a phone call in that application for the corresponding sales rep to make to the customer to try and get them to pay down that overdue balance. Knowledge Sync even includes a visual basic scripting module for more sophisticated programmatic integrations. For this particular event, we even have a final action, which is integration with a social network. In this particular case, Knowledge Sync is sending a Twitter tweet message about this particular business condition. So those are the components of a basic Knowledge Sync event. Let me just touch upon a couple of other topics, and then we'll wrap up today's demonstration. You might have noticed that we also have an application branch here called ERP Dashboards. One of Knowledge Sync's more advanced alert delivery methods is via dynamic web page. That is, Knowledge Sync can dynamically create and dynamically update web pages containing alert details. For example, the CFO in your organization might want to have a window up on his or her desktop that simply shows a listing of all customers who are at least 90 days past due. By the same token, you might want to give each of your sales reps their own window that is automatically updated with a list of just their customers who, once again, are more than 90 days past due. These, once again, are referred to as alert dashboards. And then Knowledge Sync has a function called job streams. Job streams are your ability to create and manage multi-step business processes. The example that we have here is of onboarding a new employee. As when you bring on a new staff member, there are a lot of steps that need to get done. They need to get done in a certain order, and they need to get done by different people. Job streams are your ability to link multiple events together into a logical series of steps. And you can thus ensure that a certain step is not started until a preceding step has been completed. In the ERP world, one typical area in which we see job streams being used is in the purchase order requisition and approval process, as purchase orders typically do need to go through a number of reviews and approvals before they can actually be processed. So let's now return to our main Navigator window. Let's take a look perhaps at a separate group of events. Maybe we'll take a look at some sales order related events. And with that, I think we can bring today's demonstration to a close. Once again, my name is Don Farber. I'm with Vineyard Soft Corporation. We do encourage you to download and try out the live Knowledge Sync software from our website. It is good, that is, it will run for 30 days starting on the date that you first go into the application, and you have full access and free access to our tech support department if you require any assistance during the evaluation process. Once again, my name is Don Farber with Vineyard Soft Corporation. I thank you very much for your time and interest in the Knowledge Sync Alerts and Workflow solution, and we look forward to the opportunity to work with you. Thanks very much.